Hi, Steve Lackmeyer here. I'm here with Staci Sanger with Downtown Oklahoma City Partnership, and Rachel Freeman is joining us from City Care.
I'm crashing the party.
Actually, we need you to crash. There's been a lot of discussion this week about the homeless amongst us downtown. There were some discussions that got heated. There was an effort to potentially, what I saw as an effort to shame them, which made me uncomfortable. And I felt like we need to better educate people about the situation that we're facing right now and how we can help and not make matters worse. Rachel, I'm going to start with you. We've seen a really healthy build-up in the services we're providing as a community, even as we've seen the state fall short in its obligations. So talk about that.
Sure. I first want to just encourage the community and let you know that there are lots of agencies working really hard on this issue and making a lot of inroads. The number of unsheltered, so there's like a subset of homeless population that is those that are unsheltered, did increase in the year 2018, 47% over 2017. So if you're hearing people say, why is homelessness such a problem when maybe we didn't feel like it was before, there is some accuracy to that. That number has increased. However, the number of total homeless, so those staying in transitional housing and shelters, has decreased. So that's an interesting distinction that I just want to make. That's been noticed by the service providers, and I work for City Care. We're opening a new night shelter this year that will help alleviate that. We certainly can't answer the problem on our own, but we are contributing to that.
It's not just a new shelter. Talk about how many beds there are and about the difference between no barrier, low barrier, and high barrier beds, because that's the big thing that we've been dealing with.
That is the big thing. So a couple of the service providers in town changed their model over the last couple of years to serve people that are participating in long-term programming. And I'm sure that they have reasons for that. I'm sure that they see great outcomes. But what that left the city with is this influx of people sort of flushed out into the community without shelter when they need it. And on, nights like last night in the bitter cold, or even in the summer, it can be swelteringly hot. That can be life or death for someone. So that's where the service providers have said, okay, these service providers are doing this over here with programming where it's not necessarily a low barrier opportunity to just walk in off the streets and get shelter. So what can we do to fill that gap?
So how many beds are we adding with this new shelter?
We're adding 200 beds. So there will be a men's dormitory, a women's dormitory, and then some family suites. There will also be a pet hotel. So as we meet with individuals who are choosing not to participate in shelter programs, some of the things that we hear from them are, I don't want to be disconnected from my family, my partner, and I don't want to be disconnected from my pet.
Staci, talk about the increased cooperation that is going on between Downtown Oklahoma City Partnership and the various homeless services organizations.
Our business improvement district has kind of reset their priorities to recognize the greatest need right now is humanity and the dignity of people who live in downtown, whether that means with shelter or without it. So we're really encouraged by our property owners who have dedicated funds to these services and these causes. We recognize that we probably aren't the ones who should be providing the shelter, but there are already experts in place who are doing that. So we're able to offer some support, whether that be through marketing or some of our different services, whether that's cash sponsorships, whatever that looks like. And so we partner with the Curbside Chronicle for a lot of their programming, and we try to get them at our events and our programming so that people see them more regularly. And then City Care, of course, we're particularly passionate about. Jill, our vice president, and I both volunteer for the organization and are close friends with Rachel and Adam. And so we know them personally and know that they're doing good work. And so our property owners and and board members have really gotten on board with that.
So your bid board is looking at helping provide some additional funding for additional beds, is that correct? And you're also working on different ways to maybe financially support opening up some restrooms that be available for the public,
Yes.
whether
yes.
you're sheltered or unsheltered.
That's right. And Bricktown in particular, we've heard that from visitors, and there's not a clear marked place that they can take refuge, much less the people who live in the district. And so we would like to work with property owners to open up some of those restrooms that are currently accessible to the public but not marked as such, and maybe supplement some of their cleaning services and put up some signage that people know that that is a place that they can access.
That's awesome.
That's the issue, isn't it? Keeping them clean and
That's right.
maintained.
Yeah.
And I understand you're also looking at an information campaign that
Yes.
will be done jointly.
Yes, well, I'm super excited about this. Actually, we are working on a resource booklet for all of our property owners and business owners downtown, and honestly guests and visitors too. Our downtown guides who have a great presence in Bricktown and other districts, they get a lot of questions about when we see someone in need, what do we do? Can we help with that? Or are there experts in place that we can call? And just not knowing how to access that information. So we're working with City Care and their staff on putting together a resource book with all of the places that they can call, whether that's crisis management, non-emergency police, Crime Stoppers, even if they notice a light is out. We want to be able to give them that contact information.
You've got these folks, though, that, we're camping out under a couple of the walkway stairways in the canal at the entrance to the ballpark. And I'll look at that and I'm thinking, why are they there? And I want to share my theory, and you tell me what you think.
Yeah, happy to.
I'm thinking, what is it like to be them? And I'm thinking, okay, well, something really bad has happened to be in that situation to begin with. Because people have told them, if they're out there, I'm sure they've had contact and they've been told about the services and shelter, but they're not wanting to go for whatever reason, and maybe you can explain that. And I'm thinking, okay, so they don't trust anyone, they don't want to be around anyone, but they don't want to be sleeping in a dark, isolated area where they could be more vulnerable to attack or the elements. So they pick this very public place where they think they're less likely to be attacked. And yet, if they're surrounded by trash, if they present themselves as trash, I guess that's kind of a protective shield against anyone talking to them. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of when I'm going through all that. And when I saw an effort to kind of just put them on TV and say, this is why Bricktown is going through some difficulties, it's like, what? No. And the idea of saying the homeless are a source of violence, I mean, I'm sorry, but the shootings and assaults we've had downtown were not due to the homeless.
Research
There were
does not support
nightclub
that.
guys who were kind of rough.
Yeah.
And talk about the research
Sure.
and talk about what you don't want to call the police on them. You don't want to hassle them, but what
do you do?
I feel helpless in this situation.
I
Help me.
understand. I understand that. I would first start with let's all just exhale and let's just remember that somebody who's sleeping unsheltered, they are not the problem. They are a symptom of the problem. And the problem that Oklahoma City has is an affordable housing crisis. That's what we need to be talking about as a community. So emergency shelter also, it's just a stopgap. It's a foundation. Where we need to get these individuals is into stable housing. When we can get them into stable housing, what we can do is we can start working on those more abstract things like sobriety, like employment, like managing mental illness. Those things just simply cannot be done when you are fearful, you're anxious, you don't know where you're sleeping tonight, and you don't know where your next meal is coming from. Shelter and food, those are very fundamental needs at the core of every human experience. So, knowing that, there is no right or wrong thing to do. I would say calling and videoing homeless individuals in their living quarters is the wrong thing to do. I will state that. I think that's abhorrent. I think that everyone has intrinsic value, and I think that they need to be treated as such. I certainly wouldn't want a video camera in my bedroom this morning, and so I have no understanding why anyone would do anything like that. Now, if you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out what to do, I know that that can be dicey, right? You're trying to protect the safety of the individuals coming into your place of business and their comfort. But rest assured that research does not support that those who are living without shelter commit more crime. It simply is untrue. It doesn't happen. So safety shouldn't be a primary concern. I do understand comfort. You can do things like encourage them to reach out to social services. One, that if I'm having a conversation with someone who's living unsheltered, I'm always talking to them about West Towne Day Shelter. They do incredible work there. They are the front door to homeless services in Oklahoma City, and they are the conduit to which people get connected to the services that they need. So they can walk in there and not even know what they don't know, not know what they need. And they're going to be met by an advocate who can help them sort of start untangling that. Now, if you are unable to have a conversation with someone because it feels unsafe or because they aren't responding to you, there's a couple of places that you can reach out. Oklahoma City has some great resources. The homeless outreach team with Oklahoma City PD, they are specifically trained to go out and provide outreach for our unsheltered neighbors and connect them to services. So you can call them. Another number that you can call is the crisis intervention team with the mental health department. So they also have an outreach team that goes out into the community, and they know these individuals by name because I've talked to them on the phone and said, help, I need you to come down to this intersection right now. It's this individual, I describe them, and they say, is he wearing a fur coat? I know him, you know? They have created rapport and relationship, and they can oftentimes come down and get that individual to the help that they need right then and there. If everyone watching this will give me a day, I will get some resources up on City Care's website that you can print out in like a wallet card size that you can save. If this, then call this number.
That's a great idea. Obviously, this is not an issue. I need to emphasize, this is not just downtown. We've got a homeless camp by Coil Springs Mall. I know we've got a homeless camp near the hotel corridor, I-40 Meridian. It's my observation, just always being out and about, is we've seen the state cut funding for mental health. There's no increase proposed with this next budget. And these folks are out there. They're not getting the help they need. So I want everyone to realize this isn't just a downtown issue. This is throughout our city. Pay attention to the MAPS 4 campaign. One of the ideas that Mayor David Holt is pushing, and I think it's a great one, is to create an endowment. And these endowments could get matching grants. And imagine if you had an endowment that could attract matching grants for the
and fund
services
social
you
services in
provide.
perpetuity. Yeah, yeah.
Because that's the game.
Yeah.
You got to be able to match those grants. So let's see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else would you like people to know about what you do and all that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have any magic answer for anyone, but, you know, beyond connecting and beyond creating relationships, I would say even go a step further in consideration for those that are pushed to the margins and advocate on their behalf. And what I mean by that is use your voice when you have one, and let it be a voice of compassion. Let those who are poor rejoice when they see you coming. Vote with them in mind. Take an opportunity to educate your friends on the simple things that you're doing, because it really is that incremental activity that we all do as individuals that will create the change that Oklahoma City, I know we have the aspirations, and I think that our actions can eventually meet those aspirations.
Rachel, Staci, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for
I
having
appreciate
us.
it.